Hi-oh, Silver! Brace yourself as we gallop through the thrilling world of the Lone Ranger, a legendary radio show that echoed through the airwaves with the beat of hooves and the call of justice. Meet the mysterious Lone Ranger, a masked hero whose identity remains shrouded in secrecy, and his steadfast companion, Tonto. In the vast expanse of the Old West, the Lone Ranger and Tonto rode together, their deeds echoing through the canes and prairies. The Lone Ranger, a symbol of justice and righteousness, rode on the mighty Silver, his white stallion, with Tonto at his side on the ever-loyal Scout. The Lone Ranger's silver bullets and unwavering commitment to justice made him an icon, a lone crusader against the forces of lawlessness. Tonto, his trusted companion and a skilled tracker, stood by his side, adding depth to their dynamic duo. Together, they rode their steeds, Silver and Scout. The Lone Ranger and Tonto galloped into the hearts of our listeners, and their adventures becoming legendary. The sound of the galloping hooves and the Lone Ranger's stirring call, "Hi-oh, Silver!" became synonymous with justice prevailing in the Old West. So saddle up and ride with us as we revisit the thrilling tales of the Lone Ranger, Tonto, Silver, and Scout, where every episode is a daring ride into the heart of the frontier justice. Now let's get into this episode. This episode originally aired December 25th, 1946, and the title is Bells of San Pedro.
Fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty "Hi-oh, Silver!" The Lone Ranger. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver! Let's go, big fellow! Hi-yo, Silver! Hooray!
There was a bell in the chapel at San Pedro. When it rang, its clear tones carried over the plains for miles in every direction and sounded a message for both Indians and white people. It told them that those who were destitute could find help. Periodically, the big bell brought deserving people of all kinds into the town for food, clothing, medicine, or money to buy the things that were needed. And then the bell went silent and stayed that way for 2 long years, despite a flood and then a drought that seared the crops. There was no help at the chapel in San Pedro. The Indians in the valleys and the pioneers in the hills found their position increasingly desperate. They were cold and hungry, but they had long since given up hope of hearing the clear tones of the chapel bell.
There must be some reason for it, Tonto.
Maybe Parson gone.
No, the parson is still in San Pedro. So is the chapel.
Plenty Indian need help.
Pioneers as well.
You go into town with mask?
No, Kimasabi. They make camp outside of town. Take off the mask and go into San Pedro just as a stranger. Perhaps as a pioneer who wonders why the bell no longer rings.
No one suspected that the tall man who rode into town at noon was the almost legendary character known as the Lone Ranger. Inquiry brought him to a small house near the chapel, and he found that the parson was with Dan Hawkins, the sheriff.
You asked why I no longer rang the chapel bell.
There's a great deal more need now than there was 2 years ago.
Yes, I know there is. But unfortunately, the syndicate that bought the Esmeralda mine is not as generous as Martin Jessup.
Martin Jessup?
He used to own the Esmeralda, but he sold out to the syndicate 2 years ago.
Yes, Sheriff. When he owned the mine, he saw to it that there were funds to help the needy. Periodically, he brought me money so I could ring the bell.
I see.
Doggone it, a man like Jessup don't deserve the hard luck that's hit him.
Hard luck?
Yeah. Lost his gold mine, then lost his son, and he's about to lose his wife.
I was just about to go and call on Jessup when you came, Sheriff. Now I must go. But stay here. I'll be back in a little while.
You got no advice for me, eh, Parson?
No. You'll have to do as you think best. I'll not be long.
Tell me, stranger.
Yes?
Have you been traveling around much in this part of the country?
Quite a bit.
Have you heard about an outlaw that's known as the Scarlet Horseman?
The Scarlet Horseman? Yes, I have. But not recently.
He was downright active up to a year ago. There was a new robbery every 3 or 4 days. Then he just sort of dropped out of sight.
How did he get the name, the Scarlet Horseman?
Oh, he wore a bright red mask and a red silk neckerchief and a red shirt. He was just about your size, too.
Is that so? Maybe you think I'm the Scarlet Horseman.
No, I got other ideas about you. That's a right smart horse you ride.
Yes. Silver's a great horse.
Silver, huh?
What makes you so sure I'm not the Scarlet Horseman?
Because your name's not Bob Jessup.
Jessup? Isn't that the name of the man who owned the Esmeralda mine?
Martin was the owner.
Oh.
Bob's his son, or was his son before he went away.
I see. You said that Jessup had lost his son.
And his gold mine.
Why do you think Bob Jessup is the Scarlet Horseman?
Well, I'll tell you. 2 years ago, yes, it was just about 2 years ago this month, I was sitting right here in my office after supper. I looked out through the window, saw young Bob coming across the street with my daughter Mary. They were coming straight for my office, and I could tell by the sober look on their faces there was trouble of some sort. I was sure of it when they came through the door. Hi there!
Sheriff, you heard about the Eastern Syndicate that wanted Dad's gold mine.
Yeah? What about him?
Well, you know my dad. He can't read or write or cipher. He has to take people's word for things that are in writing.
Yes, I know.
Well, he thought he was selling the syndicate just a small part of his mine. He wanted to get cash enough to put in some machinery.
Yeah.
Well, he signed a paper, and it was witnessed by some men from the syndicate. Now it turns out that instead of selling a small part, he sold the whole mine.
And for practically nothing.
Those slick schemers.
They swindled him. Then stole his mine. That's what they did. It's not legal, is it?
Son, there's an awful lot of stealing and thieving goes on within the law.
Now, let me get this straight, Sheriff. You mean to say that Eastern Syndicate can steal the Esmeralda and there's nothing can be done about it?
According to the law, son, they didn't steal it.
Well, it is stealing. And if they've got a right to steal, so have I.
Then Bob left the office alone. That was the last I saw of him. He left town.
What about the Scarlet Horseman?
Well, he appeared in town soon after the syndicate got started. Rode in, stuck up the office, and rode away. That was just the first of a whole series of robberies.
What about Martin Jessup and his wife?
Well, they hear from Bob every so often. He sends them cash, but never an explanation of how he got it.
Do they know your suspicions?
No. No one knew except Mary and me. Until today. I came here to tell the parson what I knew and ask his advice.
Why did you tell me this story?
Well, I just told you, that's all. That's a mighty fine horse you got tied outside.
Yes, Sheriff. Why, after all of this time, did you choose today to tell the parson?
Because I think Bob Jessup's coming here.
To San Pedro?
Yes. Somehow or other, he keeps track of what's going on around town. And he'll know that his mother is dying.
She is?
That's what the dog says, and I reckon he knows. Bob Jessup will come here as sure as you're born. Then I'll have to arrest him.
The Lone Ranger left town and joined his Indian companion Tonto in a small camp nearby. It took but a few moments to tell what he had learned, and as he talked, he put on the familiar mask.
Sheriff Hawkins is the sort of man who lets nothing stand in the way of his duty, Tonto.
You mean him rest, young fella?
Yes, Kemosabe. You'll try to find justification to close his eyes when Bob returns. There. In the end, he'll decide to arrest him.
You think jury find Bob guilty?
In spite of the fact that he wore a red mask, there will be a number of people to identify him because of his general appearance. I want to get to him before the sheriff.
But you know where to find him?
No, Tonto. There are just two trails leading into town. We'll keep an eye on both of them.
Me, Tyson Sims, get scout ready.
Good. Steady there, sir.
You know what Jessup feller looked like?
The sheriff said he was about my size. There you are. If he comes to town, we'll know him. Steady, big fellow. Come on, Silver.
Come up, scout.
The Lone Ranger and Tonto found a small hill from which they could watch the approaches to town. On the second day, Bob Jessup appeared. Both he and his horse were tired, and he rode slowly. His face was caked with the sweat and dust of travel. At first, he was barely aware of the two horsemen who came down the hill on his right. But as they drew near at an angle, he reined up and rested one hand on his gun.
Oh, boy, oh.
Oh, Silver, we want to talk to you.
Masked, huh?
Hit the ground, Jessup.
How do you know who I am?
The sheriff's expecting you. Now, get off that horse.
Who are you?
If I wanted to be known, I wouldn't wear a mask. Steady, Silver. Now, dismount before I have to back my request.
Now, look. I'm in no mood to argue a gunfight, and I want to shove on as fast as I can. What cash I've got is in my pocket. Take it and clear out.
I don't want your cash. Look in the saddlebag, Tonto.
I'll leave those bags alone.
Hold it.
Gosh, I thought I had a fast draw.
Now, leave your gun alone and get this through your head. I'm on your side. Go on, Tonto. See what you can find.
Me look.
You're on my side?
The sheriff knows you're the Scarlet Horseman.
I wondered about that.
You don't deny it?
What's the use? Look what the Redskins found.
Yeah, red shirt.
Careless of you, wasn't it, Bob?
What's it to you?
Here, neckerchief, mask.
You haven't used that outfit in over a year. Why did you keep it?
I had a reason, and it's none of your business. Now, what are you going to do? Take me in so you can collect the reward?
I'm after a lot more than the reward.
Oh. So you got a price, huh?
Yes. I want your confidence.
Huh?
I think the sheriff suspected who I am when he found out my horse is named Silver.
Silver? That mask.
Does a silver bullet mean anything to you? Here.
Why, you... Great Scott, the Lone Ranger.
The sheriff's daughter's still waiting for you.
Mary, but...
And your mother. Well, your father's hoping you'll get home in time.
Then it's true about Ma?
I'll let you go on in just a minute, Bob. But first, I want to know what you did when the Scarlet Horseman disappeared about a year ago.
I went straight. You can believe that or not.
Your parents got money from you.
I want to get home. I'll give you the facts in a few words, and I've got to go. Pa taught me all there was to know about gold mining. About a year ago, I located Pedro up north. I've been working that mine ever since.
I heard that Wells Fargo received some cash from the Scarlet Horseman.
They did, and so did everyone else that I robbed. I sent home enough to take care of Pa and Ma, and every other cent went to pay back what I'd stolen.
But that won't square you with the law.
It squared me with myself.
I see. We'll keep your scarlet shirt and mask.
But I don't see why...
Were you planning to use them again?
Yes. I aimed at calling that skinflint Jim Curry and have a showdown. The least that skunk could do after stealing Dad's mine is to help out the old parson.
Go ahead, Bob. We'll see how things work out.
Steady, boy. Get up!
Maybe Sheriff not arrest him.
We'll keep in touch with things, Tonto. In the meantime, keep the things that identify him as the Scarlet Horseman. Perhaps we can use them.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue our story. After Bob Jessup had left them, the Lone Ranger and Tonto held a short conference. Then the masked man returned to camp while Tonto headed for town at top speed by a roundabout route to reach San Pedro ahead of the Scarlet Horseman without being seen by him. Bob made slow time on his exhausted horse, and it was nearly dark when he came within full view of the familiar buildings and the tower of the little chapel that held the silenced bell. The first person he saw was Mary, the daughter of the sheriff, who ran up to meet him.
Oh, there, boy. Oh, steady. Oh, Mary, you... Gosh.
Bob, you did come back, but... Bob, Dad says they're sure to find you guilty. Mr. Curry, the syndicate man, will identify you.
That ornery polecat.
Oh, here comes Dad now.
Yeah, so I see.
I got to take you into custody, Bob. I reckon you know why.
Sheriff, does Ma know about your suspicions?
No. And I'm willing to meet you halfway to keep it from her for the little time she has left.
I appreciate that.
The doctor figures it won't be long. I'm willing to let you go home on your word of honor that you'll come back into my office no later than noon the day after tomorrow and give yourself up.
You think that by noon on Thursday, Ma will be...
I talked to the doctor just before I come here. That's why I said Thursday.
I'll be there. Mom, you've got to get well. You've just got to.
No, son.
But I found gold. Dad can start all over again with a new claim. And he can send money to the parson, and the bell you love so much will ring again.
Oh, is that the truth? Is it true you found the gold claim?
Yes, it is, Mom. It's the truth.
Oh, that's the answer to my prayers. Oh, Bob, I was so afraid that the money you've been sending us wasn't honest money.
Oh, it's honest money, Mom. And there'll be lots more from now on. We'll help the parson, and the bell will ring again. And the Indians and pioneers will hear it, and they'll come from all sides. And the parson will hand out food and warm clothes and...
I'll hear it, Bob. I'll hear that bell when it rings. And don't you feel too badly. I have had a happy life, a full life. I've seen my prayers answered. You home and the bell will ring again. I'm happy, son.
Lie back, Mom. Lie back, you're tired.
Tired, but happy. Happy to know that you're home to be with Dad. Talk to me, Bob. Tell me about the bell again. I can just see the tears of gratitude on poor, hungry faces. Tell me about the bell, how it'll ring. Tell me again.
It'll ring, Mom. And the pioneers and Indians will hear it. And they'll come from all sides. And the parson will have food and warm clothes. And even toys for the kids at Christmas time. Yes, even toys for the kids at Christmas time. Mary! Sheriff, open the door. I've got to speak to you.
Bob!
What's the matter, son? What's all the excitement?
Mary! Sheriff, what do you think? Ma's not going to die. She's going to get well. I wanted you to be the first to know.
Oh, Bob!
Are you sure about that, son?
Yes, I'm sure. She fell asleep while I was talking to her. The doc was there. He told us a lot of things about the desire to live and all that, but the main thing is she's going to get well. She slept for an hour, and then when she woke up, she was hungry.
Oh, that's a good sign, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, the doc says that was the best sign in the world. He said it wouldn't surprise him if she was able to get out of bed in a few days.
Oh, it's having you home, Bob. That's what did it. Oh, you have no idea how she missed you.
Oh, doggone.
Dad, what's the matter?
I wonder how she'll take it when Bob surrenders day after tomorrow.
Sheriff, Gosh, I forgot all about that.
It's going to be tough, son.
Bob, isn't there something you can do, Dad?
If I don't act, someone else will. Curry will call in the United States Marshal.
I'll keep my word. But you get this, Sheriff. And get it straight. Curry offered a reward for the capture of the Scarlet Horseman, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Well, if I surrender voluntarily, I'm going to have that reward. Ma's going to hear that chapel bell ring once more if it's the last thing I do.
Get him up.
Tonto had followed instructions and kept an eye on events in town. A few minutes after leaving his point of vantage near the sheriff's home, he dashed into the Lone Ranger's camp, reined up sharply, and told what he had learned.
It means a woman's life, Tonto.
That's right.
She'll never survive the shock of learning that her son is the Scarlet Horseman.
Maybe we do something, huh?
I wonder if
Maybe we go deal with Curry.
Oh, I know that syndicate man.
Maybe tell him facts. Maybe him not press charge if him know Bob pay back all stolen money.
He knows it, Tonto. At least he knows the syndicate's money was returned.
That's right.
In spite of that, he's determined to send the Scarlet Horseman to jail. Got to think of some way to give Bob Jessup another chance.
Both the Lone Ranger and Tonto kept a close watch on events in town. They learned that Curry, the syndicate man, sent word to men in nearby towns telling them to be on hand to identify Bob Jessup as the Scarlet Horseman. Then the Lone Ranger made a secret call on Sheriff Hawkins. The next day found Mary in her father's office at noon.
Oh, but Dad, there must be something you can do. Bob's mother's getting well, and if Bob goes to jail, he'll just...
Now, you just take it easy, Mary, and wait and see what happens.
Well, Bob paid back all the money that was stolen. Doesn't that mean something?
Well, it would if Curry and the men he sent for would drop their charges.
Oh, Dad, is that what's going to happen?
Not a chance.
Dad, You know something you're not telling me.
Well, maybe.
How can you sit there and grin? If Bob's identified as a Scarlet Horseman, he'll go to jail for life.
Uh-oh. Look out the window, honey. Here comes Mr. Curry.
Who were those men with him?
They're the men he sent for. Men that were stuck up by the Scarlet Horseman.
Oh, to identify Bob. And they'll do it, too.
Yeah?
Well, Sheriff, where's the prisoner? 12 o'clock, you better produce him.
He'll be here, Curry.
Mr. Curry,
These
isn't
men
there
are
some
prepared
way...
to make the identification. We propose to make an example of that young scamp. And he'd better not try to escape. It's 12 o'clock, and I thought...
here he comes, right on time.
Well, you did show up. Didn't think you'd have the nerve.
I showed up all right, Curry.
I dare say you've seen these men through the eye holes of a scarlet mask. How about it, gentlemen? Does this look like the Scarlet Horseman?
Looks like it to me.
Sheriff, they've identified him. Jessup, don't you try to deny your guilt.
I haven't denied anything. I haven't admitted anything. You've offered a reward, Curry. Did you bring the money with you?
Yes, I did. Got it right here in my pocket. And I'll give it to the sheriff as soon as you're proved to be the Scarlet Horseman.
You got any doubt about it, Curry?
None at all. I'll identify this man, and so will these others.
Then put the cash on my desk.
Yes, sir. Here you are.
Well, Bob, I don't want a reward for capturing you.
You made me a promise, Sheriff.
What's this? What kind of a promise?
I told Bob that he could have the reward if he'd walk in here and give himself up, so I wouldn't have to bring him in at gunpoint.
And I kept my word.
Now, what do you want me to do with the cash, Bob?
You know what's to be done with it.
All of you, hold it.
What, a Scarlet Horseman? Well, that's a man. He must be the one, not Bob. This can't be.
All of you, stand still.
He's the same size as Bob Jessup. That must be the man who robbed us.
Get back there, all of you. I can use this cash.
Sheriff, do something. Stop him.
Quiet. You'll get a bullet. If anyone wants to get shot, just try to follow me.
Get him. Stop him. Do something. He's getting away with my money.
Come on, big fellow.
Sheriff, get after him.
You know that's downright crazy. How can I catch him, Curry, without a horse at least as fast as his?
Come on, men. We have horses. We'll get after him.
Come on, we'll do what we can. That's it.
You stay here, Bob. I got something to tell you.
Sheriff, I don't understand.
Bob, don't you try to understand too much. It's been proved to Curry and the others that you're not the Scarlet Horseman, and that's all that counts.
I begin to understand. The man that took some things from my saddlebag gave me a silver bullet.
Yes, and he gave me one, too, son. Gave it to me last night when he called on me. Now, before another hour has passed, he will have burned up a shirt and mask and all that's left of the Scarlet Horseman.
Yes, but the cash...
By now, he's handed that to the Indian, and the Indian's on his way with that cash to the parson.
Mary, that's the chapel bell.
Oh, Bob.
Sounds like the Indian has reached his destination. Go on, son. Go home to your ma, and take Mary along with you.
And after this, Ma, when Dad helps me work that gold mine, we'll keep that bell ringing like never before. Won't we, Dad?
We sure will, son. Like never before.
I can just see the tears of gratitude on poor, hungry faces.
The pioneers and Indians are coming from all sides.
Yeah. And the parson will have food and warm clothes and even toys for the kids at Christmas time. Thanks to the Lone Ranger.
story you have just heard is a copyrighted feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated.
This has been a presentation of OTRWesterns.com, and we hope you enjoyed. Please take some time to like and rate our shows in your favorite podcast application. Follow us on Facebook by going to OTRWesterns.com/Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel by going to OTRWesterns.com/YouTube. And send us an email, podcast@OTRWesterns.com. You can call and leave us a voicemail, 707-986-8739. This episode is copyright under the Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike copyright. For more information, go to OTRWesterns.com/copyright. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.